So we had a smaller slate of games last night, and usually when that is the case, I pick two games that I really want to focus in on. Last night, I was focusing on OKC versus the Pelicans. The Pelicans are slowly starting to get more people into the lineup, and OKC is OKC, a fun watch. Halfway through the first quarter, I hit the group chat. Shea got 14 points. I hope y'all watching his layup line that he's doing. And I kid you not, my boy D Mills replied back, I am watching the Washington Wizards pick apart the Denver Nuggets. Huh? The Washington Wizards are doing what to the Denver Nuggets? And I ain't even overreact like that because you know it's basketball. At the end of the day, sometimes we see the worst team end up having a really hot quarter or a really hot half, and then the better team turns it up, and just like that, the better team wins. Well, that didn't happen last night. Where that picking apart of the Denver Nuggets was the reality for 4 quarters. And not only that, Jokic went out there and had a career-high night. 56 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists. The man took 38 shots. Matter of fact, that feels like a career high. I'm going to go check it real quick. It was. So he took his career high shots, scored a career high in points, and still walked out with a loss. And they lose this game. And I think they broke Jokic, man. I think they broke him because we've always known him as a stoic guy, a dude that hates media, that won't give you real answers. Where after this game, he said this, and this is from Bennett. Nikola Jokic on what the Nuggets need to see these next few games. A reaction. In my country, where I'm from, after this kind of stretch, you're going to get a paycheck that's a little bit less than what you are worth. So maybe that's what we need. Maybe a little motivation that way. Now, they said that he was laughing as he started to say this, and then he added, what's the name of it? Being benched? Being benched, I think that's really good motivation too. You don't be talking like that. He is the last player in basketball amongst the stars that will really give a comment like this. They done broke my boy Yoke. And I didn't watch this game live. I woke up early this morning to see how the hell the Washington Wizards were picking apart the Denver Nuggets. And there was a portion in this game where Jokic started off his normal way, where he was a playmaker. He had 3 turnovers in the first quarter, not that he kind of settled in. And then like halfway through the second, he came to the realization, oh, we're not going to win this game if I don't completely take over. And then it got to the stretch where it was give me the ball, I'll give you a bucket. Give me the ball where I give you the bucket. But on the other side of things, we're seeing the Washington Wizards not only match that, but they're hitting threes. And y'all know the Denver Nuggets don't take and they don't make threes. So you're watching Jordan Poole put up a career high in amount of threes attempted and then make a career high in threes. And boom, this Wizards team win the game. And a reminder, you know, we always say this. And it's the NBA. You can get out on any given night. You can be the best team in the league and lose to the worst team in the league. No, you shouldn't. Because the Washington Wizards, by point differential through the first 20 games of the season, were the worst team of all time. The worst team of all time by point differential. That's even with 2 wins against the Atlanta Hawks. The worst team ever. So even though there was no Jamal Murray, there's no Aaron Gordon, there's no excuse to lose to the Wizards. And it wasn't just a loss. Man, this Wizards team lost 16 in a row. And Jordan Poole is hitting shots and putting on a snorkel because it's a pool party. You know how much that would infuriate me if I was going against him and they lost 16 in a row and he's talking trash, and he deserves to. They won this game. Right? But it will piss me off. And I'm sure it pissed off Jokic and maybe some other people in that locker room that they went into Washington, D.C., even though they were missing 2 starters and lost to this horrific team. And we're going to play the blame game. Oh, yes, best believe we will in a couple minutes. But I was watching this game this morning, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what's missing, right? I'm trying to figure it out. Now, obviously, the answer is Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, but regardless. And I'm going to refer to something I said a few days back when I was talking about the Dallas Mavericks. When the Mavericks had their 5-game stretch where Luka Doncic did not play, a lot of other role players stepped up. We saw people who's notoriously known as a 3-and-D guy like Najee Marshall. Not Zeke Najee, goddamn, he's awful. Like Najee Marshall go from a 3-and-D guy to, oh my God, my star player is out. I need to do a little bit more. I need to be in the post. I need to take mid-range jumpers. I need to get into the float game, put the ball on the floor. When you see a game with no Aaron Gordon and no Jamal Murray, nobody else in this team, those random role players that you want to step up and expand their role for this one game, won't do it. Michael Porter Jr. is being paid $30-something million to not do that. Horrific performance for Michael Porter Jr., where he's 5 of 14, 0 for 5 from 3. And I said it before the season started that I do believe that Michael Porter Jr., because this team is not very good on the math, needs to be taking more 3-pointers. In a game like this, where he is somewhat of a matchup nightmare to a smaller Washington Wizards team, needs to just be doing more. Losing the math, 41 3-point attempts for the Washington Wizards versus a 24 for the Denver Nuggets, and they only made 5, while the Washington Wizards had 16, and Jordan Poole had 9 by himself. And that's including what, in the first quarter, he airballed 3 threes. he eventually got it going. Oh, and here's the out for the Washington Wizards. If you want to use that Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon being out was the excuse, I want to remind you there was no Malcolm Brogdon, no Kyle Kuzma, Saddiq Bey ain't played all season, no Corey Kispert, no Keyshawn George, and no Alex Sarr. That's damn near the whole starting lineup. So there's, again, zero excuses for this being the case. So I want to play the blame game. Whose fault is it that we have got to this point? Like them losing the other night to the Cleveland Cavaliers is eye-opening for some reasons. The Cavs are just a phenomenal NBA team, but they didn't even stand a chance in that game. But again, the Cavs are just a better team at this point, so there's no harm done. But when you back that up, but going against the Washington Wizards losing that game, somebody has to be a blame. Somebody has to be a blame for the start of the season. And I want to do it. I want to start off with, oh my God, I failed our class years ago. So this is my straight line, boom, down the middle. Dang, that's not down the middle, but let's assume that this is down the middle. Let's say 50% of this blame I'm putting on the front office. This is Calvin Booth. This is whoever the hell is making decisions out there because they became complacent, right? They got their core four together. They won a championship with Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, and that core four, for what it's worth, is still really good to this day. And they've played a total of 172 minutes together. They still have a net rating of 11.2. That is a phenomenal core four. But it's the exterior things. And we talked about this before the season started when I asked the question to y'all whether or not the Denver Nuggets window had completely closed. That losing a guy like KCP, it matters more, not just in a vacuum, right? In a vacuum, losing KCP, losing Bruce Brown from the championship run, or losing Jeff Green from the championship run is not that big of a deal. But you add all three of those combinations together, that's when it becomes bad. And you have guys like Christian Brown, who's having a really good season now that he's finally asked to step up and do a little bit more. You have guys like Julian Strouth who can come off the bench, and I'm a firm believer that Julian Strouth is going to be a really good basketball player one day, but don't really have much. So when you have the minutes where Jokic goes to the bench, I still don't understand how this entire Jokic era of him being the best player in the world or the MVP of the league, they have yet to have a competent backup center to him. I know that they like to run the small ball with Aaron Gordon, but not having another near 7-footer that you can trust when Jokic is not on the court is just mind-blowing to me. DeAndre Jordan, by all accounts, is a really great locker room guy. Everybody loves him. But he's been out of the league talent-wise for 4 to 5 years now. And yesterday, they really relied on him to play the non-Jokic minutes. And it was a disaster. Zeke Naji, who was supposed to be one of the guys to fill that role as this 4-5, can shoot the ball a little bit, can play make a little bit, has also been a disaster where they gave him a multi-year contract, $8 million a year. And in the game where it was no Aaron Gordon, no Dario Saric, two front court players, he got a DNP coach's decision against the fucking Wizards. Like, that is a disaster. And when I blame the front office, you also have to think about there's not a ton of wiggle room. How do you make this team better? They have no tradable second-round picks. And if I'm not mistaken, they got no tradable first-round picks. So it's really about trading one-for-one deals, which rarely happens in the NBA. And usually when it does happen, it's not about to elevate your team. Because if I'm a guy, why would I give you the better player if I'm not getting anything in return? I'm getting your scraps for my good stuff. That doesn't make sense. So the front office has really got to the point in the Jokic era with the Denver Nuggets where I'm really questioning what the hell you can do. Jamal Murray, who didn't play in this game, but we got to talk about it, signed this big-ass contract. And over the last, 8 months now, he hasn't really been good. He'll give you a sprinkle in a good game here or there, but consistently has not been good. I'm going to the front office and saying, hell, they deserve at least, at bare minimum, 50% of the pot. Next. Do I go 25-25 here? I'm gonna go 35%. Yeah, this is so great. 35%. Coach Michael Malone. There's been a lot of conversations or rumors, and nobody has really been able to pinpoint the source of a Michael Malone Calvin Booth conflict. And Wendy said that it has bled into the locker room and has gotten to the place where players are torn. Like, whose side should I be on? Calvin Booth, who signs my checks, or my coach? And it has made Michael Malone be maybe more candid than he should, where there are some post-game interviews where he's asked, what do you do when Nikola Jokic is not on the court? He says, pray. And again, I understand the idea of it. I understand why I'm saying that, but if I am player 7 through 10 on the roster and my coach is saying, damn, my minutes don't matter, that if Jokic is not there, that we can't do anything, I feel some type of way. And he's saying that to put pressure, right? He's saying that to put pressure on Calvin Booth to make some decisions. Michael Malone is just not this guy that loves playing younger players, because in the grand scheme of things, younger players that are near second-round picks or late first-round picks are usually not ready to compete for a championship. So he says this to get Calvin Booth like, hey, we're praying. that we can maintain when Jokic is not there because we don't really have a lot of help there. But it also has to do something mentally to those players that are literally going out there and hooping. And then again, I'm watching this. I'm watching them get absolutely destroyed by the Washington Wizards in all of the categories that you can't see on paper. The loose balls, the fighting through screens, all of these different things that I think do boil down to having the locker room and motivating the locker room to get up for these games. When Jokic said they need a different form of motivation, I look at that and say, hey, that's Michael Malone's job. How do I get my guys to rally again? How do I get my guys to care about the random regular season game we're going against the worst team in the league? And I swear, I don't even know if Nuggets fans even recognize this. And I'm not even talking about this game versus the Wizards specifically. Sometimes Michael Malone runs a lineup that I can't help but to think he's doing that on purpose so Calvin Booth can see how shitty the rest of the roster is. I swear, that's the only explanation I can think of why a coach like this, who has won a championship, will run some of the lineups that he's running out. And my last 15%, if my thing could get here, would be the players. I'm just going to put P for players. That's supposed to be a P. P for players. Because as I mentioned, screen navigation, all of that, I look at Mike Malone, but I also have to get the players to care a little bit too. And when Jokic said they need some extra motivation about some contract stuff, that also, as much as it is looking at Mike Malone, I can look at the players as well. But at some point, I just think that the talent level is not the talent level that a lot of people expect. The one thing about having Nikola Jokic is that he's a talent elevator. And because of that, you feel like you can squeeze by having not so great hoopers on the team. And at this point, it's exhausted. You can't do that anymore. Again, I'm watching players completely fall asleep on the defensive side of the ball that leads to an offensive rebound, that leads to a Jordan Poole kick-out three that he eventually airballed. But still, that's a look. And I kind of want to give it a little bit more because Jamal Murray had said a little while ago, this is why I can't have Photoshop open. I just start doodling and stuff. He had said a little bit while ago that people need to buy in a little bit more, that people are not really locked into the season. And he took some accountability because between two games, he flew somewhere to watch a UFC event, and people are speculating that he didn't play last night because there was a big UFC fight and he wanted to stay in the hotel room or stay at home to watch that. I don't really know. But everybody deserves some form of blame to us getting here. And you still do have the best player in the world, in my opinion, and they're just not on a night-to-night basis as competitive as you want them to be. Jokic at this time might be the front runner for MVP, and his team is a 9th seed. So I can't even say he's a front runner. What 9th seed has ever won the damn MVP award? So Shea the front runner right now? It might be Shea. Because like the guy I would have too is Giannis, and he's sitting at the 7th seed right now. Again, a lot of season left. We're only a quarter of the way through. But the guys, the two most dominant players in basketball right now, are struggling to really put it together for I can't say longer stretch because Giannis and them just went on a 9-1 win streak or whatever. But for the most part, to build their way throughout the standing. Anyway, let me know what you think. Did they break Nikola Jokic finally? I don't know.